Hey guys, Trev here from SpineWise, and just thought I'd have a quick chat today about a couple of things that were brought up and asked of me over the last couple of days, and I thought I'd just go through and explain a couple of things. If you are watching and say hi, always great to know that we are talking to someone here and not talking to myself. So while I'm out for a walk, I thought I'd talk to you about this, and the problem with that I hear often is that the cause of back pain is actually nothing more than the way you lift or the way you do things, and that's not necessarily correct. And I also hear these statements that because I'm a tradie or because I'm in a job that requires a lot of strength work, that this is going to cause me to have a higher risk of back pain, and that's not necessarily the case either. So one of the common misconceptions about it is that if you're someone who's constantly working, so say you're a tradie who's bent over all day, or a carpenter, or even someone who is stacking shelves, that you're more likely to get back pain simply because of the fact that you're using more strength work. And that's not necessarily the case, because what should happen is if you're out and about and you're constantly doing things and you're active, you should actually get stronger. And as you get stronger and stronger, the net result of getting stronger is that your back muscles actually get stronger as well, and that should, if anything, prevent you from getting injured, not the other way around. In fact, you're probably more likely to get injured from what we see from those people who spend no time out and about, so people who spend time in an office or very similar, as opposed to those who are actually moving all day round. So if that is the case, and why is it true that so many people who are out there doing those physical things suffer with back pain? And the big thing that we tend to see is it's not so much that they're more likely to get the back pain, it's more to do with what they're doing that drives it. Sorry, just go through a bit of a shadow here on my walk. So one of the problems that we have with it is that if we're having a situation where you're lifting, but when you're lifting, the problem that you're getting is that you're lifting incorrectly, then you're more likely to do damage, and then it's more likely to be a repetitive injury issue as opposed to the job that you're doing creating the problem. So what do we talk about when we're talking about this situation? So really what I'm talking about is that when you're lifting, it's not necessarily the lifting. And we all know, we've heard it before about make sure you're bending your knees and all that type of stuff. And I want to go a little bit broader than that, because that's not necessarily the situation. It's more from what we see to do with what you do after you've lifted. So when you lift up, say you're lifting up a bag off the floor or something similar, as you lift that substance up and you bring it up to a certain height and you get it up, what most people then do, it's just got into shade here, what most people then do is they actually then lift, and when they're holding, they then lean backwards. So they extend, so they counterbalance. And as they counterbalance, that counterbalancing actually creates almost like a pivot point at the bottom of the lumbar spine, right where it meets your pelvis. And that puts a lot of stress on a few groups of ligaments in there, especially one in particular called your iliolumbar ligament. And the result of that is that constant stress on it every day when you're doing it over and over and over again often creates a situation where the ligament becomes dysfunctional. We end up with neural patterning problems as a result of the changes in ligament function, and the result is we start having issues with the lower spine biomechanics. Okay, so this is more common if you're lifting all the time, but it doesn't mean that lifting is the cause, so to speak. It doesn't mean that lifting is bad for you, it's just the method of lifting. So most people we see with this, say new mums, who when they're picking up their kids will have them and then just lean back as they put them and rest them on their hip. We see this with tradies, builders, and all these type of people who are lifting heavy bags and heavy materials up onto ledges and lean back as they do it. We see with people who just don't quite have enough strength when they're lifting, so they pick things up and they'll walk a long way and then they'll lean back counterbalancing it to try and keep that up. We see this with who else? With people who works in stores stacking shelves when they're stacking above head as they arch back. We also see this with painters, for instance, who are painting ceilings and painting directly above and extending back rather than working in front of them as well. So there's a whole broad range of people we see this in, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's because you're active that it's creating the problem. It has more to do with the way that you're doing it. So moral of the story is, don't think that because you're active you need to have a problem. That is completely incorrect, and don't think that sitting down all day and getting a desk job is better for you as well and will reduce your pain. That's completely incorrect as well. So let's not think about those things. Next thing I want to point out with that is also remember that it's the way you lift that creates the issue, and it's not necessarily about the bending the knees bit. It's all about what happens once you are upright. That's where the issues that we tend to see really come to fruition. So we want to make sure that we're staying upright and holding things straight, not having this arching back. Okay, so there's a couple of quick tips I just want to talk to you about, because there's a lot of myths about low back pain and about whether or not you're better or worse if you're in an active job. But remember, nothing beats keeping strength up. So I go through all these cards here. Nothing beats keeping strength up. So it's really, really important to stay active. And it's the best way that we know that we can actually prevent these things. We just need to make sure that we do it in a very sensible manner. Anyway, guys, that's it for me for now. If you have any questions or want some more information, I just posted up. Happy to help you out in any way I can. Just like always, remember, it's all about adding life to your years. Catch you later, guys. Bye for now.